Cur's back, Catley assist, Razzo scores. It's another week of Talking Tillies, and we got the A-League coming up this week. Cody, Michelle, welcome back for another chat, and I'm a little hyped. Things are coming back and starting again in Oz, and I think we're all a bit excited about that.
I'm excited. I know Michelle's frustrated that she decided to book a European holiday right when the league was going to start because someone decided to put it a little bit earlier, but hey, that's not that's just pure unluckiness. We all move on. I'm hyped the league's starting, but yeah, brilliant times.
It's the league's fault. They've stitched me up.
Super exciting. We're going to quickly touch on everything that's just happened in the past week, guys, because as you heard in the intro there, Hayley Razzo notches her first goal for Real Madrid, which I think is our leading point here. Really, really excited for Hayley. Really good touch in the box to pop that past little tricky nip over the leg of the goalie. But good for her to get off the box with that one, Michelle.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're just going to keep seeing more of that, especially as, who was it, Caroline Weir, right?
Yeah,
especially because she's out injured and won't see her for probably the next 9 months. So, I think this is a beautiful beginning of Hayley's Madrid career.
Cody?
Yeah, no, look, honestly, the first time I saw it, I actually thought the ball was about to get away from her. I didn't know what she was trying to do. It looked like she was, one-on-one with the keeper, and that touch was just going to end up in the keeper's hand still. But look, no matter how you score the goal, at the end of the day, she's breaking a duck. She's off the mark, whatever you want to call it. And that's all you need, really. You're in a new environment, new club, new culture, new language. As long as you're performing, as long as you keep your confidence high, that's all that matters. She hits the back of the net. She does it next week. Suddenly Real Madrid has a player where it's doesn't matter how she gets it, she's going to score. And you know how Razzo's are like. She's not always the most refined, but she's like a bit of a bulldog. She's always willing to get stuck in, works hard. She plays with a bit of confidence. She'll be fantastic for him, and the fans will love her.
100%. But those types of players have also always succeeded in the Spanish game as well. Those people that are just
match made in heaven.
Yeah.
What can you say? What more can you want?
It's going to be super exciting to see how that grows. That's definitely one that I'm kind of bookmarking at the top of every week just to see how many minutes, what she does when she gets those minutes. But it's definitely going to be hard for Weir to kind of push her out if she keeps on the trajectory she's already going on, which is going to be really good for us to sit here watching the Spanish League. Let's jump over to Michelle's trio in Arsenal, who just managed to pull things together. Absolutely glorious strike from Chloe Lacasse to kind of keep Arsenal in this one. That was probably one of the top goals that we've seen so far this year. United 2, Arsenal 2, major goalkeeping error.
Again.
By Arsenal, 2 weeks in a row, different keepers. They're having no luck behind the gloves. But Catley got an assist on that second goal to keep them in things. So Steph gets that goal involvement tally off and running. As an Arsenal fan, Michelle, how are you feeling seeing them in 9th with just 1 point from 2 at this point of the season?
Yeah, not good. It's not a good start. But, Chelsea lost the first, they had a rough start to the season last season, and they still managed to win the league. So still early days. It's only match week 2. So hopefully come Sunday, they realize that I'm in the stadium and they'll be like, let's score and win a game for this random Australian girl who happened to be here. So here's hoping.
100%. Cody?
I also just want to say quickly that they did play a different position, they played a different formation. So they've gone for a 3-4-3, which seems a little bit unusual. I feel like usually they play 4 at the back. But yeah, so Steph was kind of more in a midfield position than as a usual left back. But
yeah, and Caitlin Ford also lost her minutes, dropping to the bench as well off that game, coming off the bench to...
Cooney Cross also did not feature.
There we go. So big shifts in week 2 for Arsenal, Cody.
And look, with Ford, I guess it's a competitive environment. She's not going to start week in, week out with the players they've got they've got available to them up front. As long as she's, if she gets majority of minutes, I think we can be happy with that. She's still in a good environment. She's training with quality players week in, week out. there's still a lot there to like, and it's not like she's just going to sit there and rot in the reserves. So she comes off the bench here and there. Personally, I'm not going to be worried too much about it. But Catley, something I've always liked about Catley is the way she goes forward. I actually think she could take that wing back role really, really well. It's something that frustrated me. And I'm sure you guys remember back in the Olympics when Tony Gustafsson experimented with the three at the back, and he always had Catley playing as a centre back, and it frustrated the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there thinking, Catley offers so much to us going forward.
Yeah.
Push her up. Put her in that wing back spot. Let her whip balls in. You've got Sam Kerr in there who loves getting on the end of a cross, and then you've got Catley who can whip a cross in. I don't know what was going through Tony's head back in the Olympics, but hey, it got us to a semi-final, so that's can't complain there too much. Tracking back to the game, and I want to keep the conversation on Catley for a sec, because then Michelle, I'll ask you this because you probably know a little bit more about female players abroad than what I do, but where does Steph Catley rank amongst the world's best left backs? Because in my mind, I've already got her in here as the best. And I don't know if that's outlandish.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm not paying attention to every single left back in the world. So
at least in the WSL, where would she rank there?
I'm not paying attention to defenders.
She'd be up there. I wouldn't, like, there's a fair few names. Fridolina Rolfo will be right up there as well. Katie McCabe.
Yeah, you could argue that Katie McCabe's a better attacker than a defender, though. I wouldn't say that she's a top left back. I'd say she's a top left winger, but I wouldn't. Personally, I don't like seeing her play in a left back position. I think it causes more trouble than good.
Card it up.
But I definitely, I agree. I think Steph Catley is definitely one of the better left backs. I just think, if your defenders are not making headlines, then there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I mean, because I've always seen her as one of our top players as well. She seems like someone that flies under the radar with us. Like, everyone respects her. She's a captain. Fans do love her a little bit, but she's never in that conversation of like a Carpenter or a Kerr as well, even though the moment she went to Europe, she's been one of our most consistent players abroad. So just thought of something I'd mention.
You can make that a media point, though, as well. Like, Ellie was pretty heavily featured across the media coverage for the World Cup and things like that, where Steph didn't get that. So, like, it comes down to media perception as well with how much people know about it, like everything in the women's game.
I also think there's a difference between why Ellie gets more notice than Steph.
100%. Yep. Cool. Let's just
look at their Instagrams.
Let's move to just wanted to touch on that. Really good result for Arsenal, though. In a very hostile environment, especially towards Alessia Russo, going away and getting that point at United. Very good result for them. City had red cards galore against Chelsea. Sam Kerr comes off the bench for minutes, 45 nearly. Didn't do much with those minutes, but it's good to see her on the pitch again, where we were discussing last week about how long it could be. It now looks like she's back fit and ready, and we probably will see her feature in these upcoming Australian games at home, which is good. But a lot to say about Chelsea going up against 9 players 10 for literally 3/4 of the game and not coming out on top. Says a lot about City and how well they can shift their focus. I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised seeing 9 women against City. And
I mean, any side with Mary Fowler and it's going to be quality, isn't it?
You're just a hype man.
I'm a hype. That's what I'm here to do.
Us Montpellier.
But yeah, great result. Point each. Sam Kerr minutes is probably the highlight there. Nothing too much more. I don't think it was a real standout game this week.
This game was insane.
From the refereeing perspective, though.
No, definitely from a referee perspective, but it was insane regardless. Like, Mary Fowler had an absolute, I don't know, I think she played out of her skin, and I think the more that she plays, the better that we see her. I think she was especially in the first half, she was like a complete standout player to me. And
is it surprised that she got subbed off at 46 then?
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
But I think he did that because I think Gareth Taylor, the City coach, I think he did that to try and play more defensively because of the red card.
They were down to 10. Yeah.
But I think that Mary Fowler in that first half completely dominated and was controlling the game and was, I wouldn't say it was an assist for Chloe Kelly, but pretty much set up the goal for her and, was the last involvement before Chloe Kelly struck the ball. So, I think Mary Fowler had a great game. Alana Kennedy, she was a bit up and down. She had her moments where she was like performing really well, and then there was moments where it was a bit like, how you going? But overall, I think AK probably didn't have the greatest game, but it was still decent, and she was under pressure as well because her centre back partner was obviously sent off. And then when it comes to Sam Kerr, in my opinion, I just think that she was just like not with it, like didn't have the best game. Air swung, like right in front of goal. Like it was a moment to win the game. Or no, I think at this point it was the moment to equalize and had just completely went over the top of the ball and then, all this other stuff. So, it was a really good game. Like
But that's the role we saw Mary in last week too. It's good to see that when she's on the pitch, she's that kind of focal role for that attack, which is what we were discussing at the start when we did our preview. Was what's she going to be in that system? And it looks like it's really coming.
I also think the atmosphere was really good in the game. So, and I think that kind of helps to add to like the intensity of the game because especially that like last 10 minutes, like people were just like being feral and it was great. Like, it was, I think it was overall like it was just a very chaotic game. And it was like, if you want to watch a chaos game and question the referees, then watch that game.
100%. Cody, anything to add? Chelsea, City?
No, I think, look, with Sam Kerr, she's coming back from an injury that has held her back for quite a while. I know she looks semi-decent in that Australia-England game, but you don't know what it's been like since then, how much she actually had to push through a pain barrier to get just to that position as well. You're looking at her now, obviously there's still something wrong if they're not bringing her into the fold straight away, but something like that, I'm surprised she got as many minutes as she did. I thought they might have just brought her in, just to make sure she's getting some touches on the ball, touches on the pitch. But also the situation in the game as well. If you're coming back from an injury, first minutes of the season, and you're in a high-pressure situation like that, obviously things aren't always going to go your way. So I wouldn't expect her to be performing at her best, maybe even for a couple of weeks, and maybe until she gets back in an Australia jersey where we see her start scoring goals again. But as long as she's playing, as long as she's not injured, as long as her calves aren't playing up anymore, I'm not too worried. And you said with Fowler as well, the more minutes she sees, the more she gets on the ball, the more she can do her thing.
Yeah,
it's going to be so exciting to see. It's the only thing that I'm worried about is what happens when Bunny Shaw comes back into the fold. But with Fowler, it's the sort of thing where you could put her into the midfield as well, player as a 10, and she's just as impactful.
Yeah, she's definitely making a case to kind of at least challenge Bunny for that role. Like I don't think after the two games that's happened so far, Bunny walks back. It'd be sad to see her walk back in and kick Mary out after what the role Mary's played these last two games, which is really good to see. Top of the table, Leicester. Surprise. Nevin plays 70. They get up 1-0. Again, I think conversation around Claire Wheeler here only getting 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the game. We said it last week, really disappointing to see her get minimum minutes. Not really eventful for the Aussies in this, but more Leicester kind of coming out swinging to start things off and looking strong, which is good. And they definitely a team name that we didn't have near the top of our table at the start.
Well, we had it pretty much near the bottom, didn't we?
I think so, yeah. I think it was a relegation battle.
I think they survived, maybe.
Well, they're surviving right now. I remember the year the Leicester men's won the league. I was sitting there the whole lead up to the season going, they'll get relegated. They'll come 20th. And it's like history's repeating itself with the women's. Obviously, it's very early days. And I'd be surprised if they actually maintain this position. But look, 2 wins from 2. And I said it last week. The first win, it was more just a thing of, they were playing the other low side in the team. It could have just been a good start to the season. This was probably the game that was a little bit more important. I hope I'm saying it about the right team, actually. Was it Brighton or Leicester that played Bristol last week?
Brighton?
Wrong team. Never mind. That's what I was talking about. And I think Brighton did quite well this week as well. So
No,
No, did they?
Leicester,
2-0.
Leicester played Bristol last week.
Okay, I was talking about Leicester. I was going to say,
And it
I
was a
knew I said it
4-2
about someone, I
win.
just couldn't remember who it was. I was pretty sure it was Leicester. But yeah, I said it last week when they beat Bristol. It could have just been a thing of Bristol's the other low team in the competition. This game against Everton was going to be a bit more of a test. And look, they've come up to it, which is actually quite good. And look, I've started the conversation with Brighton. I'm sure you move on to it in a sec. But obviously West Ham were a little bit more formidable in that game. But Leicester, great start to the season. It's great to see Nevin a part of it. It'll be interesting to see how Simpson works her way back into the side because they seem to be doing quite well without her, unfortunately. But
she's
football,
injured.
I guess.
She's out for 6 to 7 weeks.
Oh, that's not good.
You said because we were talking about it being a niggle, and you said it was going to be longer, and it came out during the week that it was going to be a couple of months. So, not good for Remy. But our other Aussies over at Brighton.
Wait, hold on. Just one thing on that Leicester game. I think it's great to see Courtney Nevin starting. I think it's awesome to see. But I think sometimes I genuinely worry about how she's going as well. Like there's a couple of times where she was found out and defensively Leicester almost, there was a moment where they almost conceded the goal, and I think she's very lucky that Everton cannot shoot and they cannot score because it was very close, and Nevin pretty much lost her player, and that was that. Player took a shot and very lucky that it didn't go through. So, it's all well and good to hype up the girls, but realistically, sometimes this is as well what happens. They're not always going to play to the best of the standards. So really hoping that, it was just a one-off sort of situation. So it was just a bit of a yikes.
That's natural with young players, though. They're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. There'll be mistakes here and there, but
of course,
if she's able to be generally consistent, you take it still.
Yeah, she's just got to pick herself up from it, learn from it, and make sure it's a learning experience and not a common occurrence, I would say. So, same substitutions as last week for Brighton. No minutes for Mackenzie Hawkesby. Charlie Rule gets a fair whack this week. She gets nearly 23 or something like that. No, half an hour. She gets half an hour this week. Brighton lose ultimately to Macca Arnold's West Ham 2-0. West Ham kind of bounced back after a kind of shaky start. Brighton, I don't know how I feel about Brighton. They looked really good last week, and then West Ham bounced back and they don't hold. So very interesting mid-table kind of clash here. Charlie Rule getting half an hour is probably a good thing, but
yeah, definitely.
Macca goes strong in goals and keeps a clean sheet, which is great.
Makes her a bit of a dark horse for the Matildas possibly as well. Charlie Rule. Spot opens up at right back, you never know. Unfortunately, she's got competition there with Korean Carpenter there, unfortunately, but playing 30 minutes here and there, or even coming off the bench consistently in the WSL, there's nothing to scoff at, especially for someone of her age.
100%.
I think so Charlie is not playing as a right back in Brighton, just so you know. She's playing as a midfield, which is, I think, where she plays in the U23s anyway. She doesn't like playing as defender. So we probably won't see her in the Matildas as a right back if she ever
still on the right hand side though, isn't it? Because I thought she was playing more like a wing back for Brighton.
I think so, but she's playing
wing back, right mid.
On the website, they've got it down as a forward, I believe, or a midfield.
I saw that in Full Mob actually. They had her, Hawkesby, and Madison Haley all as midfielders, which was quite interesting. But I know Charlie's. I know her youth career was more as a forward midfielder, and she kind of got shoved into that right back role. But I know her as a right back. It's just for my default.
Yeah, I don't think that she's if she makes the senior move, I don't think she's going to be playing in a right back position. I think it's just too. It'll be a silly decision to make from Tony anyway, because I think she's probably better suited in the midfield role. I think Macca Hawkes is really unlucky to not be playing, because I think as a midfielder, she's probably a better midfielder than Charlie, just has more playing time in that role and more experience in it. Yeah. So I think it's, just a bit frustrating to not see her on the field. I'm happy to see Madison Haley get a start. Well, not a start, but get on the field as a Sydney fan. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's good for Charlie. But yeah, hopefully the Hawk gets some game time soon.
100%. Honourable mentions, Tegan Micah, still no minutes for the year. Sarah Hunter and Claire Hunt still haven't had call-ups in France, which we're still expecting is normal, so no freakouts there. Ellie Carpenter kind of solid defensively for Lyon against Bordeaux, injury-riddled. Didn't have any goal involvements though, but 4-0. Lyon looks so strong this year, and so did Paris City, to be fair. Like they're going to be disgusting. Still waiting on a fair few games this week. Let's jump over to Sweden and Denmark real quick while we figure out Vitsio and Hacken 1-1. Kat Gorry racking up those yellow cards. Let's go. Charlie Grant, pocking on, all start. Full 90s for them as well. 1-1. Apparently, it was a last-minute goal for the goalkeeper, Cody, to keep them.
Yeah, goalkeeper scored a last-minute equaliser. You love to see it. You love to see it.
Amy Sayer gets minutes and a yellow card for Christian Stads. Oh, did I say that? I said that right, guys. Let's go. Hammarby doesn't have Karakuni Cross in it anymore. Norrköping got up 3-0. Did we get any minutes there? I'm not 100% sure. Chelsea Dorber played 78, so that's good for her. I think that's her first strong minutes of the year. I don't think...
No, she's been in and out in the squad. She's got a couple goals as well, not there as a starter consistently.
Year
but
of this podcast.
Sorry?
I said year as if it was the start of their season. I meant like the start of this podcast.
Well, they run by a calendar year, to be fair, over there, so normal. I see where it's coming from.
Yeah, nothing. And Alex Chidiac hasn't played yet. Oh, no, they played last night. Hold up. Let me have a look at that. 0-0 draws for her and Emily Van Egmond in their games. Did she? I don't think she got named. Yeah, nothing yet for Chidiac in Mexico. So, she was on the bench, no minutes. And M. Van Egmond saw a full 90, no goal involvement. So that's the wrap up on the week just gone. Lots of drama in the WSL, but looking ahead, now we're going to go into our deep dive. We've wrapped that kind of that review up real quick because we know this is going to take a while, guys. A-League's back. Set off the cheers and the cheer. Woo, 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 woo. Derby Central this week too. Big in Sydney, big on the F3. Oh, F3 Derby. Bring back, screw the M1. Bring back the F3.
Doesn't have the same ring.
It doesn't. There's just a certain nostalgia with the F3 Derby, I tell you. Central Coast, Newcastle, kick it off this week. Down on Michelle's favourite ground. Let's have a look at this game, guys. It's going to look pretty strong. First time we're seeing this Central Coast team. We have the Jets down near the bottom. What are we expecting out of this? What are we looking forward to as a league kickoff game this week?
I'm intrigued by it. I think, look, you got a Mariners side who, and this is a comment that I've basically been umming and ahhing about them, how well they can gel together very quickly. I don't think it's going to be the strongest season for them at the start. I think they'll be a bit shaky these first few games. And look, a game like the Jets, as much as it's new, at least in recent history in the A-League Women's, obviously they played F3 derbies back in the before 2010s. But listen, it's going to be a new... Sorry?
2009?
No, that's what I mean, before the 2010s. Like a very, very long time since they've had... And that's their opening game as well. It'll be... You want to hope there's going to be a decent atmosphere. There'll be a bit of pressure there. Jets, as much as, they're probably not the strongest team in the world, they'll they're probably a little bit more suited to playing with each other. Plus, you got just basically added Melina Ayer's factor in how fit she is and how well she can do off the bat will probably be a defining point of this game. It'll be interesting to see if Kai Simon's introduced to the fold straight away. I don't know how much minutes she's gotten in preseason. They don't, unfortunately, release lineups of preseason games, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard that she's not playing. Not playing.
Yeah, look, you'd know more about it than what I would, to be fair.
Media stuff as well. Like, she's obviously the face of that team, but yeah, there was a rumor that she wasn't playing this week.
Then look, they've got Rolla Butterwear there still, so I don't think there's still a quality and competent striker there. But I think just the other factors around it, it's just simply the fact that they've only just kind of gotten pulled this squad together. You don't know how it's going to shape up. So that's why I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, they're going to go and wipe the floor with Jets, because as much as the quality may be there to have a really good game, you don't know how that quality is going to come out right at the start of the season.
100%. Yeah, I as a Jets fan, I'm hopeful that this kind of
hope is sometimes all you have.
Look, it's definitely a makeshift squad. We've done a lot of college recruitment, a lot of US people to come.
That's a standard thing across the A-League women's, but to basically raid US colleges and see who's not getting it or who's not playing yet in the NWSL.
Yeah,
and it's something that's kind of frustrated me. It's like I've always thought, why don't we have a bit of ambition and try and bring someone that played in the World Cup, see if we can get someone of that ilk. But unfortunately, it's not to be yet.
Not yet, but hopefully. Michelle, first game of the year. I know you're going to be more focused on the second, but anything for Central Coast Newcastle?
Honestly, I think Mariners will take the win, to be honest. And I just say that because I think that they've got so much more to prove. I think, it's their first season back. They were obviously one of the original teams when the league was first introduced. I think there's I think they'll have some good support. Like, they've been doing their preseason stuff with like crowds, and I think it's I don't know. I think the team probably for me just maybe just it's from what I've seen, and there's just more like advertisement of this team because they're new. But I don't know. That just seems like a decent team. Like Cody mentioned, Rolla Butterwear, she's a great player. I think if she had more minutes at Sydney, she probably could have had more goals. But yeah, I don't know. Newcastle to me is just shambles.
I'll hold the flag. It's all right.
Not as much shambles as another club that's playing on that same day. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a really exciting fixture. I think it's a great fixture to open the league with. A great welcome back to the Mariners. I think last I heard, Kai Simon won't be playing for the first few weeks. I think she's also ruled herself out for the Olympic qualifiers, so she probably is still just focusing on rehab, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah.
Interesting. We know you'll be overseas, Michelle, but
yes.
Derby Day in Sydney. Probably the biggest game of the year to miss. But hey, Sydney coming off a strong season. Holding on to Courtney Vine. Coming up against a Western Sydney team that does not look like they're potentially going to finish anywhere near where we had our predictions with off-season or last 2-week happenings. I'm pretty confident Sydney are going to run away with this one, but from the sky blue side of things, there's a head nod. How are you feeling here?
Good. I feel... I don't want to say that I feel confident because it just feels like really disrespectful to say that. But like on paper, like, obviously Sydney FC is a better team. It's a better managed team. And I think, you're looking at one team who's had the same manager for the last 6 years, who has been to every single final since, and who has won 3 premierships in a row, won the grand final last year, and then you're coming up against a team who has a new manager every season, who can't hold on to the same team or even the bones of the team. A club where they sacked their manager 10 days out before the season started with just no answer why. There was no reason given as to why Kat Smith was sacked. There are plenty of rumors going around, which I won't repeat on here. But like, it's you got to start questioning the club, and you got to start questioning. At what point do you just say, all right, we're not going to run the women's team anymore because we simply cannot handle it. We simply don't have the funds for it, because that's what happened to the Mariners. But it's like, if you don't care about the team, then what are you doing? Like, there are people who genuinely love that team, who care about the team, who want to see them and support them. But like, the club, from what I've seen, like, obviously everything I say is biased because I'm Sydney FC, but like, from what I've seen from the outside, it's like
it just doesn't
what
make
do you
sense.
do?
Like, I'm pretty sure everybody had that same reaction, was like, you're 10 days from a season. Like, there's nothing that could have, like, I don't think there's anything that could have gone that wrong in pre-season for them to pull a trigger like that. Like, there's no way you can assess pre-season and go, yeah, nah, we fucked up here. Like,
and what does it say to the players?
Yeah.
Like, what do the players do in this situation? Like, oh, great, we start the season against our biggest rivals in 10 days in their stadium.
Yeah.
And we've got a new coach. Great. Can't wait. Thumbs up.
100%.
On another podcast, the early women's one that I have with Front Page Football, Front Page Dub, and I'm coming from an unbiased point of view. Sorry, Michelle. The last time I laid into the Wanderers women's program and accused the club of not paying attention to it, they went and picked up 7 points from their next 9. So I learned my lesson there to kind of question things very heavily. But you've sacked a coach that towards the end of the season looked like she was actually slowly starting to build something with 10 days. You bring in a new coach who, I think last coach in the A-League Women's in 2008 or 2009, hasn't had any real recent senior coaching experience. It's not something that fills me with a lot of confidence. I'll say that much. I'm happy to be proven wrong if Wanderers can go out in these first couple of games and really show that they're a side rejuvenated and this guy is actually bringing something new to the team in the competition. If they can go and do that, I'll be the first to hold my hand up to the Wanderers and go, my doubts are wrong.
Yeah.
You guys have done well here. I just can't see that happening. You're talking about, like Michelle said, all the factors that are going against the Wanderers in this game. It's their biggest rivals. It's a side that has been in finals every year for the last 5 or 6 years, reigning premiers, reigning champions at their ground, and arguably one of the best supported women's teams in the country. Yeah. And you're making a massive, massive risk like this heading into it. If things don't go right very quickly, that game could be a very heavy scoreline for Sydney FC. And I'm talking like your 4s or 5s, like not just comprehensive victory, like a bit of a whitewash in a way.
Yeah.
And it's not something I want to see. Like, I want to go to this game and see a real competitive derby that both sides could come out on top. And I think with Kat Smith there, you have that. You could have that still with Robbie Hooker, I don't know. But it's a risk that you really want to hope is paying off, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of concerns about the Wanderers women's program. Like Michelle said, there's a lot of fans that really love this team and want to see it succeed. You want to hope that the club are actually acting in those fans' best interests. 100%. But like I said, I'll reserve my main judgments until I actually see this guy in action, because the last time I tried to make some big sweeping statements about the club, I was left with egg on my face very quickly. So learn my lesson there.
Sometimes that's a good thing from outside in. Like, we can judge everything and put our voice out there, but if we're proven wrong, that means something's being done right, which is good.
And I'm always happy to put my hand up and be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see this Wanderers team succeed. I want to see every team do as well as what they can.
100%.
But to say I don't have any concerns, and to say I think any of us don't have any concerns, would just be factually incorrect.
Yeah. And I think it opens the doors again for some of those teams that we do have near the bottom, that could they go and get Kat Smith and go, hey, we want you in our setup. Like, you've got the experience of having a club near that top level or building something strong, come and do that. I don't know
if it's something you do now. I'd argue it's an appointment you make probably at the end of a season. So if anyone struggles this year, she'd be a decent pickup. And she's someone that you might need to take the time to build with. But if you give her that time, she can do something. Yeah. And we could have seen it this year. That was one of the things I was looking forward to most this year. But alas, we don't.
That's the thing. Like if Wellington or the Jets or someone like that don't get to mid-season and aren't performing, do you knock on her door and go, hey, you've got half a season, do what you need to do, let us know in the off-season and the keys are yours. Going to be very interesting. Last game of opening day, Perth, Western United, 10 p.m. Oh, it's going to be a late night. I think this is going to be an underrated game of this day. Like, I feel like this is going to be two very solid squads going up against each other, and it's going to be good to see how Western United come out of the gate after last year. I think they're playing in Perth too. It's going to be very interesting to see how Perth have rallied behind getting those Matildas games in Perth, whether those crowds get there. It's going to be, I'm excited for this one. This is going to be probably that one that I sit on and go, this is going to be a really good game, I think.
It's interesting because Perth is probably the one club that's sitting there going, we're going to avoid playing in the bigger stadiums. We want to stay at our, I guess, spiritual home in a sense at Macedonia Park. And it's something that could prove well for them because if they're able to increase their crowds as well as we're hoping the rest of the league does, suddenly Macedonia Park is a very intimidating atmosphere for a team coming across, and anyone that's flown to Perth would know that it's not exactly an easy trip to make. And we're talking about a squad that, unfortunately, we're still not full-time professional athletes yet. So it's a trip you've got to make after a full week of work and football the whole way across the country. It's definitely not, it's not easy for anyone. It's not easy for the best of athletes. We had Daniel Sturridge come to the country and he couldn't do it himself. Just to kind of throw a blast in the past in there. But funny enough, when you say that, Western United were one of the teams that handled that trip the best last year. So it can also be a moot point. But it will be interesting. You could almost say it's going to be the most high quality game of the day. I think Jets and Mariners, we're still not sure the level that we're at yet. And Sydney and Wanderers could be very, very one-sided if our predictions are a little bit correct. So I think this is definitely something to look forward to in this game. We've got a Perth side who will be pushing for the 6, should be finishing in the 6 based on their quality. I think that point's probably a little bit more arguable. And then you've got a Western United side who want to build on second place last year and push Sydney FC. So both sides will want to get off to a good start. I'll argue they both eventually cancel themselves out. But definitely a lot to like about this fixture. You mentioned the word underrated. I think the only reason why it's underrated is because the other 2 fixtures are derbies, and that's what kind of takes the attention away.
Yeah. Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, Western United should have a really good game. They've kept, most of the same players. It looks like a very similar squad to last season. Same with Perth. I think it'll be a really good game. It should be a good game of football with no drama. But hopefully there's a bit of spice. You still want the spice.
Just give me a little bit.
But I do think, realistically, like Cody said, it is a long trip. It's like a 6-hour flight or a 4-hour flight, something stupid. And there's a time difference, and my older brother always gets jet lag when he comes back from Perth.
It's a 3-hour difference now too, so you got that extra factor to put in there.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think it is like an underrated fixture, but I think it's just a standard sort of good way to kick off the season.
100%. Good way to tie out that first day. City are the unlucky dogs that get to make the first trip to Wellington. I'm intrigued to see New Zealand's turn out to this. They've had a really solid 12 months in sport. All Blacks are doing well right now in the World Cup. The Wars did great in the NRL. Kiwi sport is looking very strong, and I hope it translates to football as well. I hope the Phoenix, both in men's and women's, get that kind of overflow of people being interested in essentially their national team playing abroad. But
those teams are from Auckland. The Auckland crowd, to be fair, Auckland crowds show up.
Wellington, not so much. Yeah.
And Wellington's the better city.
It is.
100%. It's a better city.
Oh, give me that boardwalk any day. Beers on the boardwalk. Oh,
for real.
Wellington.
Honestly.
I see City running away with this one, but
yeah,
hopefully they put up a little bit of a fight,
I'm a little bit sad this is how Wellington's starting their season because everything from pre-season from them's actually looked quite good.
Yeah.
Like they definitely won't be pushovers the way they were last year. They definitely look a lot better. If they had any other start of the season, I'd argue they could push for a result, but okay, maybe if they were playing Sydney FC, it's a different story. They probably still get run over in that game, but a lot better teams will get run over by Sydney FC this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm liking what Temp's cooking over there. I think they'll actually do quite well. Unfortunately, we're just not going to be able to see it round one because City are this really dominant side and up there with the upper echelon of Australian women's football. So it's unfortunate, but by another way you could look at it is they get that fixture out of the way and it's just a chance for them to let's just get minutes in the legs before they get to those games they can nab points in.
Imagine they get a point out of that game though. Like
that's a massive statement if they do.
If they go for a point here, like whew.
No, they did it against Melbourne Victory.
Yeah.
At the end of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the last time Melbourne City faced Wellington at the Cake Tin, Melbourne City did run away with it and I think battered them like 4-0 maybe.
Yeah, 4-0, 4-1, something like that. It was one of the first games of last season as well.
They've won the last two fixtures. They've scored 4. Wellington have only scored 1 goal.
So
and that was at home.
It's not looking good for the Knicks, but I mean...
And I know we've got a lot of Knicks supporters on socials. We see you hollering at us in the comments, putting it at the bottom of the ladder, but until they prove it, guys.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I don't know. It all comes down to funding. It all comes down to investment. And like I said, I think, you look at the way the Mariners have recruited, West United have recruited, and then you compare that to the way Wellington did. Wellington, again, I'll say this, like they got stitched up, like they had to do it based in New South Wales because of COVID. They couldn't go home or anything like that. But, it has been a few years since then and they need to start, investing and trying to get the players that they need because like they're letting their good players go. Yeah. So, yeah.
100%. Adelaide, Canberra, another one of those games that kind of two decent squads. I would say Canberra's probably the stronger of the two, but in Adelaide, this could be a very interesting Sunday afternoon.
Well, Adelaide definitely do look a lot better than the last time we spoke about the A-League because they didn't really have an A-League squad when we had that conversation. No, I think I've had a friend of mine, Antonis, watch a fair few games of Adelaide in pre-season. I don't know, he's a lot more well-versed in like the players coming out of the NPLSA than I am. But one person that name that he's mentioned to me, Sarah Morgan, someone that he saw playing with in friendlies before she was actually announced. That's someone I'm quite excited to see. I don't think she's been in the A-League much recently. I think she played in the 2021-22 season. But even then, more of as a bit part player, but it looks like she's gone to Adelaide. She could actually play a key role. It's interesting, their star player almost, maybe besides Dylan Holmes, looks like it's going to be Alana Jansevsky, who basically came through this really good young player at Perth Glory, but now she's going to be the focal point of this Adelaide side. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes. But look, they definitely do look a lot better than what they did 2 weeks ago. But this Canberra side, one of my favourite sides on paper so far in this tournament as well. So I'm not expecting too much from Adelaide, unfortunately.
No, I agree. I think... I mean, the thing about Adelaide is where are the goals going to come from? Like, do they have a striker? Do they have anyone who's going to score other than Amelia Murray? I feel like Amelia Murray is probably going to, be one of the standouts in that Adelaide side. But yeah, I think Canberra is just looking so good at the moment. For me, I don't see anyone winning that game other than Canberra. I think they know what they're doing this season. They'll be a hard team to face.
Yeah.
They also have the most exciting front line in the competition. One could argue.
100%.
Aside from Sydney FC, I guess, Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle hopes. Last game. And another one of those really strong games. Hopefully we get a lot out of Brisbane, like we predicted. But heading to Melbourne, take on the Victory at home. And I think they're playing at their new home to start things off, correct?
Home of the Matildas.
Home of the Matildas.
Home of the Matildas. More like home of Jamaica. Jamaica trained there. in the World Cup.
Oh, I was really confused.
I was just laughing at Cody's face because he had no idea what was going on then. Victory, this could go either way for me, depending on how Brisbane kind of come out. But I think on paper, Victory looked pretty strong. And in Melbourne I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think they'll probably put one or two past Brisbane for this one. So very interesting.
It'll be a thing of if everyone in their backline manages to stay fit, they won't blow teams out of the water, but they'll be very, very tough to score against. And that'll be what carries them through the competition. I don't think they'll be a side that wins 4 or 5-0 every week, but they could be that side that Jags a 1-0 win and kind of carries that through. I don't think you're talking a 22-game season. I'd be surprised if they concede more than 20 goals. And that's probably just being a little bit respectful of the competition. But they could even bring that down to 15. They'll be a very, very tough side to beat.
Yeah.
But in terms of goals, you've got Correa Aquino, who may need to adjust to a new level before she's prolific, but she's someone that could get a fair few goals for them too. But look, it'll be Victory's defense that I think gets them through a lot of games, and I think it'll be what gets them through this weekend too.
Yeah, 100%. Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a close match, but yeah, I think Victory just take it out. I think they've got a side that's been a lot more consistently good and together for longer.
Yeah.
So I think, that helps. I think Brisbane's got a side as well that, there's a lot of players who play together, but I think they haven't been as consistently, dominant in the last 2 or 3 years. So there's, I think there's still some teething issues there. If Meeks plays, then, I think that'll be huge.
Yeah.
And I think this should, on paper, get a good crowd because of the amount of Matildas that will be featured in this game. And I really hope that they get a good crowd. Victory crowds are usually pretty decent, to be fair. They usually get a good attendance.
Free entry too, I think.
Say again?
I think it's free entry too.
Oh, well, there you go. Club doesn't want to make money. Jokes. No, but that, it's good. So, yeah, I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a really good game to watch.
Yeah, perfect. Let's jet off overseas, cap the WSL off, and then call it a day this week. I think Chelsea kick things off against West Ham this week. This could be an interesting one. I don't think Chelsea have been that obnoxiously strong. Macca's looking pretty strong with the gloves. If that West Ham defense can do what they did this week, this could be a split the points or West Ham sneak a weird one, or it's going to be a blowout Chelsea and I'm completely wrong. But I think West Ham keep this close and it's going to be very interesting to see.
Chelsea definitely need to check something up going forward if they're going to beat this West Ham side. You're talking about a side that, look, I know they had that 2-0 loss to Man City, but if Man City's got a lot of strength going forward as well. If I know in games past, West Ham usually struggled in those types of situations. If West Ham are able to stay resolute, you're talking about a Chelsea side that's, a bit on and off in terms of form. They may be able to pull something out of this. I wouldn't be surprised. And he's hoping if Kerr's not on the field, Macca keeps a clean sheet.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Sam Kerr starts, I think Chelsea has a better chance of winning.
Yeah.
But if she's on the bench, maybe, it could go either way. It just depends. I think Chelsea's plan for this game, because they've probably been, seeing how well West Ham is doing at the moment, but I think realistically their plan should be get the early goal and try and get a goal as soon as possible. Because I'm no doubt West Ham will come out firing and will want to do the same, especially because West Ham's playing away. So
they'll have that nothing to lose mentality. Let's silence fans and get on top straight away so we can lock things down.
Exactly.
Leicester United, hopefully another strong game from our Aussies there. They do go away to United. It's a weird one. There's no real standout teams yet this year. This could be one of those ones that kind of either cements Leicester as a top contender this year or allows United to kind of come out of their skin for the first game. This league is looking really muddled compared to last year.
What a statement it would be if Leicester get points out of this as well.
100%.
It'd be nuts. You're talking, that's 9 from 9 available points.
Yeah.
That's unprecedented. And I mentioned the Leicester men's side before. That's what they did when people started paying attention to them.
Yeah.
So, look, you never know. It's a tough ask going away to United. It's a lot better teams have struggled in those situations. So, it's wishful thinking in a way, but you can't write it. The way they're playing at the moment, you can't write them off either.
We had Leicester finishing second last, just FYI, just to catch up. But I think with Leicester being in the championship in the men's side of things as well, if these girls get off to a blinder of a start, it's something for that city to kind of wrap around. It'll be very interesting to see the crowd turn around and kind of focus on the WSL if obviously they're doing very well in the championship as well, but if they kind of make that run, I'm really excited for Leicester. City come back home to Bristol. Yeah, next question. I hope Mary Fowler gets on the score sheet this week. I genuinely, I think that's up for grabs. Bristol, they put up a fight in the first half, but haven't looked like anything since then. 3-1 to Tottenham last week. Yeah. Arsenal, I think at home to Villa.
Guess who's gonna be there?
Yo, let's hope they get 3 points. They have to get 3 points here. Otherwise, it's kind of
alarm bells start ringing.
I would say alarm bells start going, and we're kind of looking at a Chelsea-esque spend the money, get no results kind of vibe, which is scary. As someone who really loves Arsenal's away kit.
I think they know. I think that's the thing, though. I think realistically, it's like, Jonas, like the club has obviously put their trust in Jonas for some reason. And, now he has to show the results because otherwise, if he doesn't back it up, like he's already been kicked out of the Champions League, didn't qualify for him, that's why we're knocked out. And we've lost our opening fixture in front of a record crowd and then, scraped by to get a point. So, I know it's early days and I know it's so early to start being like, ringing the doom bells and everyone's screaming their head off. But it is worrying if Arsenal's not picking up points in a fixture at home in what should be another really good crowd. So,
is it at the Emirates or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be packed. Hopefully another 40.
I hope so. It would be so
40
good.
would be so good to see again there.
Give us a 50. It was 54 last time. Let's break it again. 56.
Let's go. But like you look at the table so far, 1 through 9, like you take Everton, Villa, Bristol haven't looked too strong to start. Everton kind of held themselves a little in that first game, but 1 through 9 you could kind of toss up here so far to start this year. And I think alarm bells definitely are a thing if Arsenal don't pick up the 3 here. Brighton have a good chance to kind of get back into the swing of things after a tough loss to West Ham against Tottenham, who did look very strong against Bristol, but Bristol. Hopefully we see Macca get some minutes here because this could be a good opportunity if they get out early to switch things up. And then Liverpool-Everton, where I think we've just got our fingers crossed that I'm not going to say Tegan Micah because I don't think she's going to get a run for a while, but Claire Wheeler gets some minutes here because that would be really sad for her to just kind of drop off the season she had last year to the last 5 minutes coming in and trying to just hold things down. But yeah, that is kind of our look ahead. Let's see what else is happening in France and Italy. Italy. We've got no one in Italy, Josh. How about Spain? It's been a long week, folks. PSG take on... Actually, we got Champions League this week as well. That is going to be interesting. PSG have United, so they've got to travel. This could actually mean minutes for... Or maybe a call-up, depending on how things go during the week for PSG. Maybe Claire Hunt gets a call-up, at least to the bench this week.
May not be in the Champions League, but maybe the weekend following
in the
possibly.
league game. Yeah, that's
once other players' workload start increasing.
100%.
See what happens.
Who do they have? Do they have a big game? Lié. So yeah, it could be interesting to see that. Madrid have Champions League and then Levante at home. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Champions League could shake things up a lot for those teams playing on the weekend.
More opportunity for minutes.
More opportunity for upsetting results as well. I think that, because I think Chelsea play this weekend in Champions League as well. So, so that kind of even puts more strain on that team to back it up 2 games in a row to try and get results to kind of keep their things alive as well. So very interesting week ahead. A-League is back. Michelle is gone next week, so you'll have me and Cody gracing your ears, and we're that much closer to our first camp with our Matildas. This is another week of Talking Tillies. We will be back next Wednesday. Sorry about the technical glitch last week. We had issues uploading the episode. But we will be back next week, and hopefully we might try and source some guests over the next couple of weeks while Michelle is off having her best time at the games. Hopefully she brings the good luck to everyone who's playing abroad, and we will see you next week with a brand new episode of the Talking Tillies podcast. Until then, ciao for now.